hearings on the 2022 general elections. This is the last leg of our hearings, and we are here in East New Britain. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Governor, Honorable Michael Marum, who's I think present in the room. Thank you. Thank you for your kind hospitality. And he will be observing part of the proceedings and then departing once he's ready to go. We have completed the other 3 regions, and for some of you who have been following the format, you will probably know already that we've covered some of the more significant problematic areas of the recently concluded elections. However, we had initially wanted to come to the New Guinea Islands first because from our initial findings, we realized that the best conduct of the elections occurred in the New Guinea Islands region. However, due to the funeral arrangements of the late Prime Minister, Right Honorable Sir Rabi Namaliu, we decided to put NGI towards the end, and hence we are here today. Without further ado, I will go straight to, I think we start with West New Britain, since you're the only one here. Now Asplis can go behind. Give us some feedback as to how the elections were conducted in West New Britain and some of the issues you encountered. And I'd also like a particular brief on some of the frequent stoppages of counting and, you know, the perhaps violence that you had in West New Britain as a result of the elections. Ms. Emily, you can press the green button, and then for our record, oh, sorry, before I proceed, this is a properly constituted parliamentary hearing. What that means is that you are covered by the privileges of Parliament. So everything you say here at these hearings, you cannot be prosecuted for if that does become an issue. And you should be given full immunity. So I just want to make that clear to the participants. So speak freely, speak as public servants, but also speak as Papua New Guineans. We welcome that. Ms. Emily Kelton.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, members of the panel, ladies and gentlemen.
Could you please angle the mic towards your mouth so when you speak we can pick it up.
Thank you. All right. Conduct of the 2022 national elections in West New Britain. As the provincial returning officer, we started off the election preparation, started back with our budget in 2019. The budget was prepared and sent to Port Moresby, to our headquarters, and from this they submitted over to the Treasury. The budget was not received on time, so the planning preparation of awareness, election awareness, that includes electoral roll, the stages of the roll, that's the first phase, displaying of the 2019 electoral rolls, and the electoral roll maintenance, and the enrolling of the new enrollment of the new voters who turn 18 and above and who will be turning 18 on the issue of the writ. Those issues, do's and don'ts of the candidates and the scrutineers, those things were not captured and it was never done. We had the planning, but because of funding problem, we never covered that. So 2019 comes and goes, and 2020, 2021, on November, around November, we receive a little bit of funding. And we know that that's about 6 months away before the issue of the writ. So in General Electoral Office, Kimbe, with the Election Steering Committee, in partnership with the Election Steering Committee, we could not do much, or we didn't do much Total budget for the election in West New Britain was 4 million. And out of that 4 million, we were given 1,223,475,000 for Titoya. We had a teamwork with the Election Steering Committee. We worked well. Our partner with the provincial government through the Election Steering Committee was good, was excellent. They supported us, but we bogged down because of funding. But they supported. Provincial government supported with 1 million. However, that 1 million was used by our security personnel for the defense, the police, and the CS. They were not fully funded, so they had to, this money, support funding for the provincial government was used by the security personnel to cover the allowances, vehicle hires, the boat hires, the rations, their fuel and accommodation. We still have outstanding bills to pay of 192,105.78 Toya to pay for the service providers, mainly the boat hires. The people in the rural areas who provided boats and the boats, we need to pay them those services. Additional to the support from the provincial government, they support us with manpower. We use the government outboard motors, the government vehicles that supported us, so that in that way it sort of reduced some of our bills to conduct the election.
Could I ask you a question there? I think this is the first provincial government we've come across where, certainly from the hearings, that used government vehicles for the election. Did that create any issues with the supporters?
No, it never created any issues. It was an instruction from the Office of the Provincial Administrator out.
So the candidates and their scrutineers didn't have an issue with the provincial government using provincial assets?
No, as far as I know, no, there wasn't any issue.
Thank you. Proceed.
We have total of 125 polling teams. Sorry, for the nomination, we received the nomination. Although we had no funding for that, we have to now some money to look for the refreshments to cater for because of the funding problem. We had late release of funds from the Treasury to our head office and to us. That was the issue. But that never stopped us. We went ahead, we did the nomination all right. We have total of 93 candidates, 22 for the Kenry and Gloucester, 18 for Nakanai, Talasia 32, and 21 for the provincial candidates, so we had 93. It all went well. We did the order of draw, and the candidates left, but we could not conduct the training for the scrutineers for the do's and don'ts because they left early in rush of their campaigns. So nomination was conducted all right, peacefully, although we had some issues, but there was in control. The police were there to control, and we managed to get the nomination out of the way. We had a total of 125 polling teams, 875 total of polling officials, meaning that in one polling team, we have about 7 officials to a team. That's 1 presiding officer, 2 assistant presiding officers, 2 poll clerk, 1 ballot box guard, and 1 doorkeeper. And because these polling officials, because we did not have the briefing with the scrutineers out in the field in the polling, they did not know who is doing what work at the polling area. So as a result of that, we had a hectic time at the counting center when it comes to the identifying the signatures at the back of the ballot paper. There were 2 signatures, so that's where they questioned me, where is this signature coming from? And I said, we had 2 assistant presiding officer. So you will see one will go take a leave, another one will take on board to sign the ballot papers, which is okay. But because they had no training whatsoever, that became the issue that held our counting back. So that is for the polling. All right. Due to funding problem, we had no chopper. Chopper did not assist with the dispatch of the polling teams. So through the PSC, we had a meeting, and it was decided that polling teams go out, but they will engage additional manpower as carriers to carry the ballot boxes and ballot papers from one point to another in the inland of Kenrian and outer islands like Bali, Witu, and these areas. So that's what we did. So because time was running out, and we had to deliver this on time. The counting, the polling teams arrived on time, and we did the counting. We had a CCTV camera installed in a counting center, and we started on time, but like I said, lack of information that reaches the scrutineers and even the candidates themselves, we had a hectic time. Nakanai Open Electorate was the first electorate to start off with its counting. It became the last to do its declaration. And these little disputes on the signatures on ballot papers and all these things, and candidates coming in and calling for meetings after meetings for me to sit in with them and explain as why there's so many signatures at the back of the ballot paper and so forth. So those things that hold back our time. And instead of 1 week where we should deliver the counting and declare the results, it took us almost 1.5 weeks to do that.
Madam, can I ask you a question? How long have you been conducting elections or involved in elections in West New Britain?
I did 2017 and 2022.
Fair enough. In 2017, did you face similar challenges in the pressure being put on you by scrutineers because of a lack of understanding of those issues that you mentioned? Did you face similar issues in 2017?
Yes, sir. I faced similar issues, but were not tougher as the one in 2022. There were similar issues.
Did you conduct training in 2017?
Yes, we did. We conducted the training, and we went as far as the LLGs. We involved some LLG managers who were our AROs. So they took the training down, and yes, we did the training because it was of the training and awareness, like I said.
So that was probably the difference between the...
That is correct. That is
okay.
how I see it. That was how I see it, that because lack of awareness, lack of training, and that's why we're given hard time in the recent election.
So just a lack of understanding of election processes by scrutineers and candidates.
That is correct.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. So we had counting, and like I said, we had these ups and downs from the scrutineers, so we had to attend to the scrutineers, we have to give them the information, we have to explain. So it took a while. They will ask me to stop the counting, and then I will have a break for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll start again, and it's kind of go on and off until, I even was told bluntly that they will have to fail the election in West New Britain. And I stood my ground, said I will get this election done, and that people of West New Britain will have the say in the floor of Parliament. And yes, from 1 week into half week, and then we declared, we did a Talasia. Kenrian Gloucester was the first electorate to declare, and then followed by Talasia. Nakanai and Provincial, which I took care of that, was the last to be declared, because I had to complete the other electorates first, and then I'll be the last. So that's how we did. And this CCTV camera.
Ms. Galton,
yes.
Just one question. Your counting was centralized, or it was at each of the LLG areas?
It was centralized because of law and order issue. And we have to bring all the teams into Sasindra Mutual Stadium that captured for every one of us. The 12 LLGs plus these 125 polling presiding officers with the ballot boxes, we had to do the counting there. So we just have to draw the boundary or line in order to capture for different electorates. So everything was captured, the counting was all done at the provincial headquarters.
At the counting area, what were the issues that candidates were raising?
Thank you, sir. One of the amongst the many issues, they were not happy with this, like I said earlier on, signatures at the back of the ballot paper, why it has two signatures. And so I had to be explained that as why these two signatures came about. Candidates have their own differences, so one candidate dispute the other because perhaps the scrutineer must have briefed him something, so they will have to put us, most of the issues were between their own candidates, candidate to candidate. They were not happy, so they will have to stop, and they will have to take that to me to stop the counting until, on allegations on bribery, and that's between the candidates. So, but because they brought it into the counting center, it becomes my business now to sit down and talk to them and ensure that the flow of the counting proceeds and without delay.
So you did allow the candidates into the counting area?
No, sir, I did not.
Explain.
I'm not supposed to do that, and I will not do that.
So how were you getting the information from candidates, and then you were going outside or you were calling them in?
So they called me to the gate with the police and defense personnel there, and they will call me to the gate and demand answers. And there were two stages, there were two times. Candidate brought down the other candidates, and those candidates that had been eliminated from the process, brought them to they came into the gate, and they went under the stadium, and they said they're waiting for me to go and answer them. They did not come into the actual counting center, but they came through the same entrance. And I had to go and answer them, and in doing so, I will have to suspend the counting first. So I had to go and address those candidates.
Were you allowed by law to respond to them that way, the way you did? Or you had the legal powers to not to listen to candidates?
I had to do that. I don't get it clear, but I had to do that in order to explain, at least they get some message from me. They need to know what I am doing, and they need to know as why the complaint, some of the complaints were handwritten, and I need to respond to them, to get some feedback from me. Because if I don't, they will continue to pester me, and they will continue to delay the counting process.
What were the roles that your returning officers were doing? You are the provincial election manager, and the returning officers in the counting room, were they the ones communicating with you on the issues raised by candidates, or were candidates coming straight to you as the election manager? But where did the ROs come in the process? Because they were inside the counting room.
Yes, thank you, sir. The ROs were in the counting room, and as the provincial returning officer, the candidates direct all the questions and queries and whatever straight to me. And actually, when I go with the returning officer in charge of that electorate, that with me.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Before you do, sorry. Just some clarification, and there might be candidates who are watching this session. In terms of your process of of counting, is there any reasonable grounds under law for you to stop the counting? Let me just, do this on behalf of those dissenting candidates. Do they have any right to send their scrutineers in to stop the counting? Is that allowed under law? And if so, what sort of situation would warrant the Electoral Commission, in this case, yourself and your returning officers who are conducting the counting, to stop the counting? Oli gat right lo stop him or no gat?
No gat.
Okay, suppose only no gat right lo stop him counting, then why is it becoming such a regular practice? I've been involved in 5 elections, and I've never once asked my scrutineers to stop the counting. So I'm just trying to understand myself how it is that, because it was my understanding that you may not right long stop him counting. So how is it that people can successfully stop the counting, and under what circumstances can they do that? Or do you take a decision just to stop it so you can go and try and resolve all issues? You take the decision.
Thank you, sir. All the candidates and scrutineers have no right to stop the counting, and it's not allowed. What happened? Why it happened was because, sir, if I don't address them, these scrutineers are very, very, very tough. And they will tell me, you stop counting, you allow me, you address our issue first. And there were a lot of arguments, and that is that fear that gave to the returning officers. And the poor returning officers, they will argue with them, and they will come and drag me, PRO, you go and make your ruling. Even I do my ruling, it will still not, if I want accounting to proceed, they said, no, we want a verification of these two signatures on the ballot paper. Even the police in charge of the operation assist us, they still consistent. A lot of times, police just belt them and send them out of the gate.
So police did use force to remove?
Yes, because of that, they continue holding us to stop the counting.
Oh, okay, describe that scenario for us. What was it like? All money sing out or only cross, or you describe it for us. Obviously, we were not there.
Okay.
And it's good for you because you bore the brunt of it all, or you describe him now, so we can record it for our purposes.
Thank you. In fact, sorry, before that, in fact, not all candidates, there's some good candidates. It's only those ones that who did this. And
no, fair enough, but just describe him way only approaching you.
Candidates, scrutineers were standing at the back of the counting officials, not even 1 meter to, right at the back, counting officials sitting like this and scrutineers sitting right at the back. We asked them to move them, they will move and then they'll come back. Move them and come back, and that is where they're seeing the ballot papers. They're seeing that we are allocating the ballot paper to the right candidate, to their candidate.
The CCTV camera that was there,
CCTV camera captured them all.
could it have captured, did it capture those scenes?
Capture those, the counting process going on, and capture the argument on the ballot papers. They were scanning them, we're turning that around and seeing them. CCTV camera captured them all. The scrutineers who are arguing, it captured them all.
I'm interested in that. The CCTV camera is able to recognize the vote for a certain individual. Is that what it did?
No, but especially
it just captured the general process.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But for the individual ballot paper vote to which candidate, no, that's not allowed.
Okay, fair enough. Proceed.
Thank you. So I believe, I really don't know the issue between the candidates to candidates and scrutineers and getting the frustrations to the counting center. I wouldn't know. But I believe maybe it's something to do with the campaign period as they go out and how they talk to me. I don't know. I'm only making a comment here. But that is what happens in the counting center for West New Britain for the 12 LLGs and for the 3 electorates, including the provincial, in the recent 2022 election.
Madam Emily, you were, I think I'm not sure whether you'll be touching on the number of voters, total number of voters. Will you be touching that in the next part of the discussion, or I'll just ask this question. How many voters you were expecting to cast their votes for the entire West New Britain province in 2022 elections? And you said that you were in charge of the elections in 2017 and 2022. Do you think in these two of these elections, which one you think were the most challenging that you actually managed in your province?
So you mean the eligible voters on the electoral?
Yeah, the eligible voters expected electoral voters, and the actual numbers that actually casted their votes, and if you think that was the number of voters that you think will be casting the votes.
Yes, in 2017 we had about 169,800 eligible voters.
2017?
Yes, 2017. And 2022 we had 173,665 eligible voters. So although we have these figures, a lot of people still, I cannot give how much figure, but I know that not all of them voted. So otherwise, that is the figure for the 2022 election voting eligible voters.
You may continue.
Thank you. Just few recommendations. I just put them down here for our noting that funding must be made available to carry out election awareness and enrollment after the national elections, because that is what we failed in 2022. We couldn't get the awareness out to the people of East and West of West New Britain, and as an end result now, we had through hectic time for the elections. For the electoral roll, I recommend that provincial government must take ownership of electoral roll. And they take ownership, so they budget for that annually, and they do the rolls. Electoral Commission can just come and get from 18 years and above, and for those who will be turning 18 on the issue of writ. Yes. And candidates must provide names of the scrutineers with the profiles 6 months before issue of writ. That will make easy for our office to know what scrutineer for what particular candidate and the background information, because a lot of scrutineers Turangu, no knowledge at all to passing the read, write, and understanding. So that is why it is good to have a profile of the scrutineers before the issue of writ. And additional to that,
If I may,
yes,
while on scrutineers, and this is not a question I've asked before, it just came to my mind. Do you have a standard, I don't know, brief for educating scrutineers? You plalo electoral commission ni gat sampla kain olsem liglig school blongol and what is expected of them and all of that and what role they play. Do you have something like that there that is available for, I guess, educating scrutineers? You plagato no gat?
yes, sir, we do. We do have those information. We call candidates scrutineers information. But we train some. I mean, I'm referring back to 2017. We train some, and then changes of scrutineers. So the first lot me place train him all, and then he go he or she doesn't come back, and I'm also like something you contribute along.
Right. Now, time candidate emikam na pay him nomination blongem. You plus I give him this all educational materials blongol igolo candidate or no what?
Yes. Mipla give him all beforehand when the candidates are filling up this form 29 biodata belong candidates for filling. We give them to say whoever scrutineers below you, this is the information.
And that's a standard practice?
Yes, but Mipla use some initiative to get that out. So
Yeah, I'm asking because I've never been given any scrutineer, and I'm a sitting member of parliament, so I've never. I'm also long man me asking you this question, and it goes generally to the. So if I've never received any, and perhaps I'm failure blow line blooming lo civic that's all, but as I'm you talk you play using initiative lo like people. So it's not standard practice to provide these materials to candidates. Now suppose me play provide them all candidates. Do you think that would make the conduct of the elections a little bit easier?
Materials from Mipla. It was done prepared, but funding problem na Mipla ba movie muli ka also when so with whatever little information Mipla got, we have to go ahead and educate. But like I said earlier on, time Mipla like educate him all. Only hurry up in thing kilimol now, logo woki campaign blongol now.
No, fair enough. We appreciate the good work you're doing. I'm just interested in the general process of the Electoral Commission and the electoral process. It's not a criticism of you. I'm sure you've done a tremendous job in very difficult circumstances. So, I commend you for that. I'm just trying to get information from you so that if it is not standard practice for the Electoral Commission or the electoral officials to provide these sorts of information, all candidates will start the election, then it's something that we would be interested in our recommendation. Say, one candidate, amigo recommend, amigo nominate straight same time, give him all the information and we need him long. Happy at that. So if we, by we I mean the Electoral Commission, is unable to provide training for whatever reason, logistical or otherwise, then at least candidate yet and we got this law something yet can make him walk law. Because we had, like for example, we were with Eastern Highlands. Eastern Highlands took it on themselves, again, exercised the initiative. Na only ask him all candidates lo come na pay him one fee lo tea, coffee, sugar na want him something na only provide him training na. They thought that actually helped their conduct of the elections well. So whilst we are going around collecting reports, we are also looking for the things that some people did right. We're looking for answers as well. So I just wanted to no can think also maybe cross lo you. Maybe I come lo criticize him, know that. Maybe I walk pine him out. So please proceed.
Thank you, sir. One of the recommendations where me believe must come up and gazetting more scrutinious to be gazetted. In that way, candidates will not change scrutiny. So gazetted and me like that is happened. We work alongside by side. We have the context and like we learn from what happened in 2022. Na me like context long na talk one time na give them awareness and all this is something. So I want scrutinious to be gazetted and one plug recommendation. Installment of CCTV or what we call electronic machine block counting. Yeah? This is compulsory. Plenty people have it through even the scrutiny is not, because scrutiny, what happened was, this is the polling station, yeah. It's not in the polling, in the counting area. It's a totally different person, but they belong to the same candidate. That is the reason why the one in the counting center is giving us that time. So having these machines, electronic machines on hand, especially if we cannot, suppose you mean electronic machine, at least CCTV. We have some means of transparency inside. So this electronic counting, and we will go through because we can see that ballot paper belongs to which candidate. Number 1 blow side, number 2 blow side, number 3 blow side. Now it's given accordingly to the. So that will really help. If I yali we go through comes 2027, suppose no kat ba you make a big plaheve can 2027, because correspond sa come up ballot paper. They wanted to know ballot paper, yeah, informal or blow side, and scrutiny is interested in that. So I think legal recommendation will mean a brief belong with New Britain, Chairman Milusi Molsem.
Thank you, Madam. Questions?
Ms. Kelton, thank you for the report, and I hope you will submit to us a written report. Thank you very much. You recommended another important issue, that is a gazettal of scrutineers. Advise the committee on the timing, because you and I know your scrutineers ran away because they wanted to follow their candidates in the campaign trail. So in the process, what would be the recommended time that by this time, all scrutineers must be gazetted, and officials will only deal with these gazetted scrutineers? Recommend the timeliness, what time? Because some of these things are happening during the campaign period, and everybody is confused, or some are campaigning in one part of the province and another is close to where you're holding the training, so nobody is turning up. So in the process, and I would agree with your recommendation to gazette scrutineers, so you can know who they are, and then you can organize training and give them the pamphlets that they need to know. When you are in the polling area, you are different. You come to counting area, you know the rules. But some candidates, we select the strong plug scrutineer will go inside the counting. All the weak ones, we leave them at the polling area. That's what we do. So people who travel or rule the law, all much strong law against him, one him ballot paper him Rono, all those things that you were facing. So I think your recommendation on the Gazettal of scrutiny, my question is timing. Where would it end so that everybody knows and you train them well?
Just one point from me. There were many experience of the election team or managers when the voters saw their names in 2017 rolls and they missed out in 2022 common rolls. In those cases, how do you approach those? When somebody voted in 2017 did not have their name again on 2022 common roll, can you give an experience on how you address some of those issues?